back in like 2008 when I toured with the band Stick to Your Guns. We went to Romania and I walked in and they said, "Hey, the merch girl's here." And I was like, "Hey, no, I'm the sound guy." And they go, "Oh my God, it's a sound lady." And like they had never seen a woman come and mix the soundboard before.
All right, Jenny Douglas, welcome to the She's of the Band podcast. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm good. I'm good. Just a casual Tuesday work day. So yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you for taking the time because I imagine you have one heck of a work schedule at all times and are probably on high demand. So to even take time for a podcast, I appreciate it very much.
So thanks for having me. I think it's super important to talk to other people in the industry and then just try and inspire other people. So I do a lot of conferences internationally and travel around the world and then just try and empower women and empower people in
Yeah.
general. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Totally. And you've been on my radar for so long for this podcast. I mean, 5B Artist Management obviously has its intertwinings with Knotfest, of course, but even just beyond that, I met you so long ago and
OG Work
I,
Tour friends. Yeah.
yeah, it's so crazy, but I feel like you've always been such an amazing example of somebody that young people in the industry can learn from. I feel like I'm coming into this hoping to learn quite a bit from you. So, you're just a wealth of knowledge and diversity of like things you do in this industry. It's almost like, where do I begin?
Very much. Yeah. 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 I think the one
Yeah.
thing about me though is I was really eager to learn everything. I want to know everything all the time. So yeah, if you can just be a jack of all trades and you can speak every language, then yeah, it's super helpful and gets you pretty far as I've gotten. So yeah. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, you've been in this industry. I've done my research. So if I come out of here with like facts, it's only because I haven't like stalked you. I did my research, but you've been in this industry since 2005. So you
Thanks.
kind of have to, I imagine, adopt a mindset of always wanting to learn because it ain't the same industry it was 20 years ago. So you've had to stay on top of a lot of changes to even still be doing what you're doing now, right?
Correct. And it's called a Xennial with the X, right? And that's the one where I was born analog and then had to learn digital. So also in the music industry and especially the sound industry, I've learned both sides, analog and then switched to digital. And one of the biggest things too I see on stage is that guitar amplifiers aren't even tube amps anymore. It's all a small pedal this big and it has all the sounds for every guitar you've ever heard in your life. And so yeah, there's been a lot of changes, a lot of growth though, a lot of more women in the industry, a lot more talks about mental health. So it's progressing in a good direction, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack in that answer because it's so true. It's not just like technological advancements or like social media or I mean, I'm even thinking of like touring logistics. It's not like pen and paper, everything
Right.
spreadsheets and like let's unpack this, right? So starting
Okay.
with just what it was like handling touring logistics back in 2005 in like that era versus now. What are some of the biggest technological advancements you've seen? There
So
must
well,
be a lot.
actually, so I started doing sound in 2002 and then started touring in 2005. So
Okay.
I'm now like over 20 years in the industry. And that is crazy to think about because I'm not even that old. I'm only 41. So back then we used to print maps off MapQuest and the internet was just
Yes.
beginning. And yeah, so we had a hard paper and you would basically just go to like Atlanta, Georgia, and then go to the gas station and ask where the downtown was. And then they would direct you there. And then once you got there, you would just ask around for where the venue was, and then you would show up at the venue. And there was no master tour or like really portal back then. We were all using Excel, and like you were lucky if the tour manager had a computer. Yeah, it's changed a lot. And then the cell phone was the Nokia one with the snake, so you could just make phone calls. And then we switched to BlackBerry, and then we could text. And then and then now I'm on an iPhone, and everything's just on my phone from my daily schedule to everything. Everything's on my phone. Google Maps. We don't even have to talk to each other. It's all just in a portal you can look at, and then I'll see you at 6 p.m. when the doors are. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it must be. So I'm about to be 30, so I feel like I was also a little bit on the cusp where I do remember MapQuest. I remember all the analog stuff, but I imagine for anyone who's a little younger than me listening to this, it's kind of hard to even fathom existing that way. Um, do you feel like having those experiences back then of everything being analog really set you up for success as times have changed? Like there were certain skills that you've mastered that maybe would be a little bit harder with everything being so digital and automatic now? I
Oh,
don't know.
absolutely. Absolutely. Because back then you had to learn how to talk to people, and
True.
now because we see everything through a screen, people that are younger than me won't make a phone call. So it's a little strange for them. You really have to go out on a limb to call somebody. Because you just text them, but back then that wasn't an option. So yes, I feel like I've learned a ton of valuable skills, and then
Yeah.
also how to manage people and all these interactions with people, if they were serious or not taking me serious. Yeah, I feel like I learned a lot from starting analog, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't considered the social aspect of it. Of yeah, of course, we were forced to talk to each other. I
Yeah,
remember you used to have to roll down your window at a light and ask the person next to you for directions. It's just someone in a random car. Now that
right,
would just never happen.
right, right. They'd be like, "What do you want from me? Are you trying to rob me?" So it's like
Right.
a little different atmosphere, for sure.
Yeah, you talk to the person in the car next to you. It's an automatic perceived threat.
Yeah.
And to
Especially the way we look, though. I'm covered in tattoos, so it's like not I'm not rolling down the window in Beverly Hills and asking someone for directions, but it's a little different. So
For
yeah.
sure. Yes. And you're talking too about like even female representation coming such a long way and this being the She's of the Band podcast. I, want to touch on it too because there are a lot more women and a lot more conversations around mental health and representation and like equality in the industry. What are the biggest things you've noticed in terms of the landscape changing and the way you've been treated or how you feel now versus back then?
Back then, I actually tell this story every time because back in like 2008, when I toured with the band Stick to Your Guns, we went to Romania, and I walked in and they said, "Hey, the merch girl's here." And I was like, "Hey, no, I'm the sound guy." And they go, "Oh my God, it's a sound lady." And like they had never seen a woman come and mix the soundboard before. And like that wasn't even that long ago. It was 2008, 2009, something like that. So representation, it matters. Just showing up, just being there. Maybe I wasn't the greatest sound guy in the whole entire existence, but I was there and I tried and I showed up. So whenever I was going to shows in like the year 2000 or 1999, I saw a girl drum tech, and like that was the first time I'd ever seen a girl on the stage before doing anything other than merch. So kudos to her, wherever she is now. Just being there, showing up. Maybe she was a girlfriend, maybe she wasn't, but who knows? Yeah, so we can do it too. It just so happens that we were born with different parts, and yeah.
Yeah, that's always how that's the mindset I've definitely adopted too. I'm like, we're really no different in our capabilities. It's just the perception. So it's just kind of like fighting that perception of us and showing up and doing great work. And that always speaks for itself, which I feel like is from everything I've observed of you is always how you've approached it too, right?
Yeah, yeah, hard work and determination and willpower. And I am not a no person. So I really apologize to everyone in my past when you've told me no, and then I went around you to get a yes. Because I'm very much a yes person. Like if there's a way that we can figure it out and get it done, we're gonna figure it out. So, and also I'm the first to admit that I don't know something. So now with this vast internet, I can literally just Google it and figure it out. And yeah, maybe Russia doesn't have Uber, but we've got this other thing called Yandex, and I can get you to the gym. Like, no problem. Like, don't tell me no, we can figure it out. So, yes.
And I'm sure that's a huge asset in having that mindset on tour because things go wrong and unexpected things are happening pretty much every day. So when you have somebody who says, "Oh, it can't be done," or "I don't know what to do," and "I don't know how," I'm not going to find a solution. That's like an automatic. You're getting nixed. You know, you have to be able to figure things out and think on the fly like that. It's a huge asset.
Correct. And then, like, another generational thing I've noticed is like, what do you do when your phone goes down? Like, that's all in the palm of your hand. Like, are you going to freak out and have a panic attack? Or are you going to try and figure out how to get it done? So, by being thrown in the fire in the past and having to deal with all that prior to cell phones. And it seems like if my phone dies or gets stolen, it's not the end of the world and I can deal with it and just face it head on. So yeah, a lot of fire management in my past has led me here. So
And sometimes literally, depending on the band,
yes.
depending on the stage production, right?
Yes. A band I know of he set fire to his tour bus to like prove a point. So
What
yeah.
was the point?
Yeah, that no one was listening to him. No one was listening to the guy. So he just started a fire. He was like, "Now you're gonna listen." Um,
I mean, I guess that's one way to do it. I'm sure it was
yeah,
effective.
yeah, it was effective. And the bus driver pulled over and was screaming at everybody, and yeah, threatened to throw everybody off the bus and stuff like that. Yeah, so yeah, I have a lot of
Wow.
stories. So whenever I want to violate that NDA and write the book, that one will come out.
I will be first in line for the book.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Well, it's actually kind of funny because I did truly have this question written down of what is the most difficult, insane, or outlandish project or tour that you've worked on. Because, we were in an email thread with our friend Chris Hudson, who was like, "Oh, I have stories of Jenny. She's worked on some crazy stuff," and then left me hanging. So I'm like, well, what crazy things?
Probably because he didn't want to violate his NDA either. Yeah. So an
So,
NDA is a non-disclosure agreement where we don't talk about things that happen on tour. And sometimes on a tour you sign them and sometimes you don't. Like if you're dealing with this super celebrity artists and a lot of celebrities are going to come and then throw white parties or whatever, like you don't want to air all that news.
of course.
So probably one of like the most outlandish one was probably the Newfound Glory Pop Punk's Not Dead tour, just because of the amount of people that were on it. It was the Wonder Years and Set Your Goals, and everybody was young. And I was young too. It was 15 years ago. So there was just a lot of antics, and everybody wanted to clown around and trash dressing rooms and be bad and uh, get chased by the cops and hide. And so that was probably one of the craziest tours I've ever been on. It was a lot of work from my standpoint and a lot of me looking the other way. So it was like, oh, you guys go be bad. Don't tell me about it. Just show up at bus call. We're leaving at 2. Yeah, but one of the craziest projects I've ever actually worked on was the band Behemoth. Nurgle wanted to throw an art show, and his album had a theme of the old masters, where the band were actually dressed up as Renaissance guys, and then they took photos. And so one of the album campaigns with that was throwing an art show, and the SwtB threw that at me, and they were like, "Okay, well now you're going to produce an art show," and I was like, what? I'm the touring director. I do tour stuff. We're going to do touring. We're going to talk about buses, trucks, logistics, U.S. immigration. You want me to throw an art show? And I figured that out. And by all of my friends and having all these contacts and everybody that was willing to just do something weird and out of the box, we threw together this insane vibe art show at the Large Room in Los Angeles. And then we also did one in New York at Paul Booth's tattoo studio, and it was one of the coolest things I've ever done. So I'll drop you that YouTube link and you guys can all go watch the recap video, and hopefully you can get the same vibe in the YouTube video as you can by being there. But like literally when you open the doors of this Masonic Lodge venue with this crazy chandelier, when you open the doors and fog came rolling at your feet and there was music playing, like it gave you goosebumps because it was so creepy and weird, and all the art was lined up on the walls, and the lighting was all done. It was so beautiful. So that was one of the craziest, kookiest projects I've ever worked on, and that was with Behemoth. And then also they had a single God Equals Dog on that album as well, and they wanted to make dog food. So I also went out and tried to find dog food makers, and the cost of goods was just too high. So then we took it to the kitchen, and then me and my friends and my mom were in the kitchen making dog food for the marketing campaign for God Equals Dog. Yeah, so I can also drop that picture to you so you can see what it looks like. And it was vegan and made with sweet potatoes and had a shelf life, and it was black with little upside down crosses. So
You are
yeah,
beyond touring director. You're like a wizard. You are just like a jack of all trades.
thank you so much. Sometimes they call me the executioner because whatever you can dream up, I'll do. And if you need to be hired or fired, unfortunately, I'm the guy that shows up as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah, sometimes it's fun. Sometimes you do have to be the bad guy. So,
yeah. So you got
um,
art shows, dog food, whatever you can dream up, I'm there. Let's do it. Let's do it.
let's go. I'm coming to you for my next art show or whatever, whatever crazy ideas I
Pop
have.
up you got. All right, let's do it.
She's with the band art show. We'll figure it out. Actually,
Okay.
not a bad idea. We'll
Yeah,
talk.
yeah. There's so many talented photographers that are women also.
I
So just
know.
yeah.
Always ideas to explore. But that'll be for a different Zoom call.
Okay, got it. Got it.
Yes, but so again, I feel like your answers are so rich with insight and stories that I just want to keep diving into. I actually want to go back to what you were talking about with the Newfound Glory tour because it's just a theme that comes up on a lot of episodes of the podcast of how different the lifestyle of musicians can be now compared to 15, 20 years ago. Do you find that sort of not only with social media, but also just the way people are more health conscious and mindsets are different than they used to be? Do you find that lifestyles on the road are a little more chill and less of like the party mindset than they were
Uh,
back then?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think number one, because internationally people are taking a harder stance on drugs. So the drug use across state lines, I don't think isn't as rampant as it used to be. Where before, like Johnny Cash was just flying with pills in his guitar, right? Um, so that, and then now on the rider, everyone has changed it to juicing and salads, and they want to be at their peak performance, and they go to the gym, and they just want to ride at the gym in the mornings. So whenever Miley Cyrus is also a huge champion of this, is that when you're out there giving everything, you need an ample amount of rest, right? So they want a nice hotel, and they want to be in their hotel for 8 hours to sleep and recover. And also, if you have the Calm app as well, LeBron James does a great episode about sleep and how he caters his whole entire day around sleeping for 8 hours so his body can recover, so he can perform at his peak. So yes, is the answer to your question.
Yeah.
The lifestyle has totally changed. Everyone wants to exercise, look their best, feel their best, and they're not out all night drinking and doing drugs like they used to be. Granted, some bands are, but not any of the bands that I work with currently. So
Yeah, I felt like it was really important to highlight that. I mean, I also am somebody who's very health conscious and wants to have longevity and success in this industry. And I feel like sometimes you'll see artists who are a little more green or just coming in and just trying to prove themselves who think that that's still the way of life or the way to be. And then you find out really quickly, like, we're not doing that anymore for the most
right.
part. Like, generally speaking, like, the lifestyle of touring musicians has changed drastically even since I've come into this.
Yeah, but also look back on the past though. We had Jägermeister stages and then Warped
Yeah.
Tour had Monster Energy stage. Like there wasn't a liquor stage at Warped Tour, but instead Ozfest and all those other festivals, Mayhem Festival had some sort of liquor sponsor. So
Yeah.
all that was free, back then. So you could just get Jägermeister and drink it all day long in the hot, hot sun, and then now it's totally changed and we have water in cans and so yeah, it's liquid death. Like it, who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew? So
Yeah, it's great and it's awesome to see people like yourself and some of the artists who have come on this podcast as well who are really shining a light on this of like it is cool to be healthy. It is cool to take care of yourself and just focus on being the best version of yourself. So, yes. And also something you mentioned previously that I just keep going back because I'm like, oh, it's just so much good stuff here is you're talking about having to be the bad guy is a big part of your job. And I know you've talked about that in previous interviews. You're the person who keeps people accountable on tour. You have to take care of budgets, firing people, the things that do take a little bit of courage and, a little extra punch. So how do you handle those difficult moments and do it gracefully and with authority as well?
for me, I had to go to therapy to learn how to not internalize it, right? Because
Mm,
that was a super big thing. Like I'm the first one to like, oh, I did a bad job. I messed this up. I wrote the wrong time down, like seppuku, and my guts are on the ground, right? I take my job super duper serious. So whenever someone was yelling at me about something I inputted data wrong and they missed their flight, it was really hard for me not to internalize that and not go cry behind a truck. Through therapy, I learned to try and just create a wall between my personal life and then my work life, and then try not and let my work life affect my personal life in a way that I would take it out on others, right? So I don't want to come home and be mean to my boyfriend because I had a hard day at work. That's what I did with my mental health as I went to therapy. I learned all the right tools, and then now when I go to fire you, I do it with very soft hands. Before I used to do it very hard, like no emotion, like here's your ticket, cab's outside, get on, get out, pack
Wow.
your shit, let's go. And then now it's much softer. It's hey, here's all the reasons why we're letting you go, so that there's no gray area where you don't sit on your flight for the next 7 hours and stew about it. It's this, you did these things, and the cab's outside. I'm happy to help you pack. I am happy to ride in the Uber with you to the airport, and we can talk about it the whole entire way. And I'm there and present and let them vent, because sometimes that's just what they need, because maybe the artist was insane and there was no way that they weren't going to get fired, so now that's how I deal with it. I just try and deal with it with empathy and compassion, and still gratitude, because I have a really nice job, and even when I'm firing someone, I still feel fortunate that I get to have this job. So yeah.
That's huge. Huge revelations there because I mean, I'm somebody too where I've had to learn boundaries with being the bad guy because my day job is in publicity. So sometimes it happens. And there is a sense of your self-worth or who you are getting tied into your work so much that you feel so much and having that separation is really important because sometimes the things you have to do for your job don't define who you are or, they're not personal decisions you're making.
Correct.
So,
And even though I've fired some people, I'm still friends with them. And I'm like,
yeah.
look, you were put in a terrible situation, and I understand where you're coming from, but also you have to understand my position. I work for this band, and they're firing you. So, but if you ever need anybody on your resume to holler for you, I will champion you, because I know the situation. So yeah, just empathy and compassion, and they're people too. And yeah, before it was just really like you're an employee and you're the slave, and like you have to do these things, and if you don't do them, you're fired. Like before I was so hard like that, and now I'm very soft, and we got to take mental health serious, because I can't count on the number of two hands the number of friends that have died from suicide, and just not being able to deal with it. So yeah, so
Yeah. A small act of kindness goes a really long way. And I do think there's something to be said as well of I do feel like I've noticed a trend within myself and most people I've interviewed on this podcast that especially as women, we feel like we have to put like a really tough exterior up to prove yourself, to prove that you like have what it takes and especially when you're first starting out. And so it almost becomes like a protection mechanism and like I'm I'm supposed to be here
correct.
vibes. And so I guess too, it comes with confidence and almost, I guess, vulnerability to be able to soften the way that you have and have empathy for everyone that you work with. It comes with confidence of you belong here. You don't have to prove or act a certain type of way, right?
Yes, I totally agree with you. Yes, in the beginning, I was very hard, had to prove myself, with mean and tough. And then the older I got, I was like, oh, I can actually get more done if you kill them with kindness. So if
Yes.
you're kind and you are grateful and you say please and thank you to the union guys that are moving your gear around, and all those guys, they get paid $15 an hour to schlep your stuff up a hill from a truck that's parked, 200 miles away, like please and thank you goes a really long way. And those guys are really more willing to do whatever you ask of them later. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my mantra for sure, is kill them with kindness. Yeah.
Yeah, putting on the straight face that I used to didn't really get me as far as I thought it would. It was more
Yeah.
so something for me that made me feel good, but it didn't change the perception that anybody had. It was the quality of the work and all of that. But
And
it's funny.
kindness
Yeah.
is not to be mistaken for weakness either. I think
Yeah.
because you're still a hard worker and you're still getting things done, I think that's why. the kindness works. So you don't have to prove yourself anymore. It's just, I'm just a kind person. So
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny we've come onto this topic too because the first impression I have of you, I need you to know, left such a lasting impression
okay.
on my, and so I want to tell you, right? I
Okay.
actually pulled it up on YouTube. You're not in the video, don't worry. But this
Okay.
was back, okay, let me fact check. 2013. Did you tour manage Chiodos on Warped Tour?
I did. Yes.
Perfect. Great.
Okay.
We're on track. My memory serves me right.
I'm
So
a,
I was,
I've worked horse. Yeah. So,
yes, I was probably 17 years old. And at the time, I was just in the press area doing interviews. I still had like a DIY YouTube channel. So I just blended in a sea of teenagers in the press area trying to make it for themselves at the time. And I
okay.
remember you walked into the room with Chiodos, and I was doing an interview with them, and you brought them over to me. And I was like, who is that? Because you kind of commanded the room, and not in a way that was over the top or anything dramatic. You just kind of like owned the room, like in your power. And
Hey.
being a 17-year-old who, at the time, 2013, you still didn't really have examples of female tour managers or really many women. I remember Bethany in the press area was somebody I really looked up to at the time, but there weren't many others. I never forgot how the interaction with you made me feel and what an example you became. Um, it,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it was huge. And I mean, look, it's like what, 12 years later, I'm still like, yeah, that was sick.
Cool, but it turns out behind the scenes it was all women back there. It was Lisa Brownlee as a
Yeah.
tour manager who's before my time, and then
hmm
Kate Truscott was back there. So there was so many women behind me as well, but they just never came out of the office, so you never
That's
saw
the
them.
thing. I never saw them. And I'm so glad now I've seen them. And I hope everybody knows their names. I want everyone to know their names because
Yeah.
badasses. Where did that confidence come from? Is that some like how did you kind of build the mindset of being able to walk in a room and own it like that? Because I think that's something probably a lot of people strive for in their professional life.
Well, I think just practice for that because in 2013 I would have been doing it since 2005. And I only learned that from the others that came before me. So I had a ton of allies too, that if I had questions, I could ask them. So like Rob Lonke was the front of house and accountant for Rob Zombie. And any sound question I had, he like always gave me the time of day. And sometimes I didn't deserve it. Like sometimes I was naughty and like would plug my USB key into his console for no reason, like charge it. And so and then like Bruce Ryder, who did Static X at the time, he would also let me ask questions all day long. So I think by being around these powerful men too, it showed me how to be a powerful woman that acted like a man, maybe. So I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for allies. And then I had a huge mentor in the small town where I'm from. His name was Yankton Southern, and Yankton taught me all the first things I knew about sound. So I would say allies the first thing, and then second practice, and then third you also have seen what works and what doesn't. So being hard and strict sometimes doesn't work with a band, and instead being kind and empathetic and getting it gets it done better. So that's my
Yeah,
experience.
it's great advice too because I get asked it a lot and I'm sure you do too of like how to even get into this industry in the first place. And those I feel like those tips also kind of apply in terms of finding your way into this in the first place is having mentors and gaining practice and all of those things.
Well, a big thing that changed since my time was social media. So
Yeah.
now a lot of photographers come to me and they're like, "Oh, hey, how do I get in the industry?" I'm like, "Well, let's look at your Instagram first thing. Everything you've posted is terrible. Like, so you need to learn how to take better pictures. And then once you learn that better, then come back to me, and then we can stick you on a couple shows. And then suddenly, like, you're touring with the band because we need a tour photographer, a tour videographer, stuff like that. So if your social media is just full of not that there's anything wrong with posting your butt all over Instagram. If your social media is just full of butt photos, I can absolutely not put you on a tour. No offense. I can absolutely because no one's going to take you serious. Instead, they'll be looking at your butt the whole time. So I need to see some nice progress. You in front of that soundboard. You do it behind the press docket. Like that's what I want to see. So yeah.
Yeah. It's so true. Like your Instagram is a resume. It's an extension of your professional life, really. So,
Yes, and you can have a work Instagram and a private personal Instagram.
for all the butt photos.
That would be fantastic for me. Yes, but the first thing that happens when it's like, hey, check out my guy, Steve, and I literally just Google your name. That is the first thing I fucking do. And I'm like, oh, look, Steve made a post in 2016 that was derogatory toward women. And I'm just like, well, Steve, sorry, you crossed off, man. Like, I can't have it in this day and age because then you're going to get on a tour with 15 women and then you're going to start harassing them. And Steve, you're going to be fired before you know it. So how about I just avoid the situation? So yeah. So what you put on social media, man, be careful. I'm fucking coming.
Yes, yes. I'm gonna go like do a stalk of my Instagram. I'm like, I don't think there's any butt photos, but let's make sure. But I think there's also something to be said there about this. I know we're kind of joking about like the butt photo thing or whatever random things you're posting. But I know sometimes people are like, oh, but I want to be my authentic self, or, I want to own, or like women want to like own their sexuality or look a certain way and not have that affect their personal life or their professional life. But I do feel like there's sort of a naive way of thinking in that because the reality is this industry still very much has a perception of that. Even if we're trying to own it in a certain way or say it
Yes.
doesn't matter, it still does.
Yeah,
Like,
I want that for you. And also, I love Emil and the Sniffers, and she wears whatever she
yes.
wants, and it is beautiful and art, and she can get away with it. But in a professional setting, like uh, if I'm trying to be the CEO of Planned Parenthood, I'm not putting my butt on my Planned Parenthood page. I just, it's just a set level of professionalism. I think that's where the line is. But yes, I want you to be empowered and I want you to post your butt. It is great. Butts are great. But I need it to be on your personal page and not your professional page.
And
So
that's the difference. It's the
that's,
perception of personal versus professional. It's not necessarily telling people you can't own who you are or do what you want to do. It's just having that separation for sure. I just want to
yeah,
make that clear so nobody's like, oh, Tori's a prude now. It's not
yeah.
that.
No, no, and I'm not a prude either. And I want you to be able to wear whatever you want backstage as a production assistant or production coordinator. But if you have to run from front of house backstage and your boobs are hanging out, they're going to flop out. So I also need you to wear professional clothing in a work environment.
Yeah.
So it's a tactical thing at that point. It's not I want you to be empowered and I want you to shake them around and have fun, but oh man. Come
I
on.
love the use of the word tactical really just got me. It's true.
Yeah.
It is a logistical concern.
There you go. There you go.
There we go. And speaking of just like value in the workplace and professionalism, one thing I that really struck me when I was looking through, found the LinkedIn and seeing your work experience, something I noticed through almost all of your touring gigs is you are multifaceted in terms of working not just in front of house but also as tour manager. Like you were on double duty a lot before your role with 5B. Um, and I know that that's a huge asset when it comes to touring is being skilled in multiple ways and because it's efficient in many ways. So could you touch a little bit more on being multi-skilled as a touring professional and what that looked like for you or the value of that?
Yeah, what that looks like in America is that it's determined by the amount of bunk space on a bus. In America, the buses can only carry 12 people, 13 if there's a bed in the back, right? And that's from a DOT transport perspective. But in Europe, the buses can handle up to 22 to 24 people. So in America, if you can have one person do two jobs, then you can take less bunks, less buses, and then that saves money. So learning the double duty was just from a cost effective standpoint. But because I was so willing to learn everything all at once, it made me more valuable. So now I'm getting twice the jobs, twice the offers because I can do all the roles. So my advice to young people getting in the industry is just never stop learning. Learn it all. Like even so maybe you go out on the tour and you're like, "Hey, what does that light do?" And then you learn about lights and you're like, I'm not really interested in lights." But then you go and you ask the sound guy a few questions and you're like, "What do I do if I turn this knob?" you do that and you have fun with it, and then suddenly you're interested in sound, and then you just keep learning about it and you become a sound guy. Like who knows what you're going to be into, or you're a tour manager and you're out there and you're like, hey, I have a little bit of an interest in photography, and then you start doing photography and then it turns out that you've just taken off with that. So just try everything, learn everything, and if you don't like it, then no harm, no foul. And you can still tell people what a Viper is or what a Mac 250 is, and you can speak that lighting language in a world where like the next TM might not know any of that. So then you become more valuable. So yeah.
Yeah, and even a lot of existing positions on the road are by like nature double duty. It's such a weird timing because I don't tour anymore, but I actually got a text today and it was like, "Hey, would you be interested in getting back on the road? We have a opportunity." It was like VIP coordinator and social media content,
Yeah.
right? So it's like a lot of it just is double duty in the offer. So you need to be able to do multiple things. And I was like, I think I'm good, but my time is over.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You never know when it can come back up, So because you know how to do the photography and social media content, you can do the VIP content because that is a quarter of that job, right? You're just taking the
Totally.
photos for the VIP people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Just another example, and it just happened right before this interview. So I was like, well, that's interesting timing.
you're still wanted. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And maybe I was thinking about touring logistics and then I like manifested this idea out of thin air. Who's to say? But I digress. I also feel like we got so far ahead of ourselves because I was just so excited about all the things we were talking about. But I actually want to backpedal a tiny bit because touring director isn't necessarily a job I had heard of until I saw your position. I'd love to know a little more of what your current day-to-day looks like as touring director and what the I know you said you're the executor and you've done a lot of random things, but what would like a usual day of responsibility look like for you?
So I had actually never even worked for a band with a management big enough to have a full team behind them. So now that I'm with 5B Artist Management, these are the biggest bands I've ever worked for. So whenever I interviewed for this job, I actually interviewed to be the CEO's executive assistant. And then they met me and they were like, you have such a weird skill set. It would be a waste of our company to have you just be booking flights for somebody. So they were
Mm.
like, why don't we make you this touring director? Our buddy Dione is going to go back out with Avenged Sevenfold and the position will be open. And I was like, sure, I don't even know what that means, but I will try. And again, that willingness to just take on any job head on, I did. And so they had me meet the president of the company, Justin Archangel, and then I work directly underneath him now. So basically, anything that he needed, I would do. So the bands are out on the road, and sometimes there's not good Wi-Fi. Sometimes the travel days are really long. So the tour managers weren't getting around to doing some of the hard paperwork, like visas coming up, and they were going to enter UK in the week, and they needed a certificate of sponsorship stamps. So all that stuff is what fell on my plate. So I was doing a lot of data entry, reading passports, making sure they had the correct visas. Okay, this thing is coming up. Okay, the guitar player is out of guitar picks. Let's order some. All right, I can get them there in 7 days. So that sort of became my role. And that role is called day-to-day management. So I became the touring director and day-to-day management for a lot of the bands under Justin Archangel. So, but the touring director title means that anybody at the company can come and ask me about all of those weird niche things that I had already learned, right? So anybody at the company can come and ask me about backdrops, right? Because I had all this Ozfest, Warped Tour, mobile stage experience. So I know like how big it needs to be, or you can show me a photo and I'll tell you the stage size and like what a blow through backdrop is, and then all the different fabrics that come with that. And if you need a fire certificate translated into German because you only have one from USA vendor, like I'm the guy that will help you with that. And then any questions you have about immigration from South America to Europe to USA immigration, because every time we have a new president, that changes. So you have to try and learn it every 4 years. So that always changes. So anybody at the company can come and ask me questions about that stuff. And then also on top of that, buses, trucks, any logistic questions, flights, weird airports, anybody at the company can come ask me those questions. And they say, what vendor are you using now? And we had problems with this bus company. Do you have problems with them? So we talk about all that stuff at the company, and we have like over 30 artists now, and we have I think 4 offices now too, and all these artists and all these managers. And then I'm available to anybody that has those questions. So you text me day or night or email me. I'm available for you to answer any of that. So that is what my touring director title means. Any touring questions you have, I'm there to help you. But on top of that, I'm also doing my day-to-day management for the bands. So
You
yeah.
are just such a plethora of knowledge up there. Like you are so, I could see just first of all by the enthusiasm you have talking about it and the amount of knowledge you have in so many different facets, how invaluable you are. I feel like that's such a great example of like why curiosity is so important and always learning. Because I mean, to know the amount that you know about the amount of things you know, it's remarkable.
Yeah,
I don't
it
even know where to
never
begin.
stops. Yeah, I never you never stop learning and yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
and just seeing the way you still light up about your job after all these years in this industry, like what are the things that make you feel fulfilled or like give you that why when, shit gets tough? What makes it worthwhile for you now?
Oh, I'm my best under pressure. So especially when shit gets tough, is when I'm my best.
Mm.
If there's a huge fire that I can actually put out and help you with, then that's like when I'm at my best, and then that's when I feel my most valuable. And like if we switch from if we go and we bid out like a lighting package to all these different vendors, and I can save you $50,000 um, just by arranging the transport in a way that makes sense. That's what gives me personal value is like saving the most money, getting the best deals, having the best equipment, and then the vendor gives me this favor for this band, so I can get this other band who doesn't have so much more money, that nice gear. So that's what gives me joy. It sparks joy for me. Um,
Yeah, you're helping so many people essentially live their dreams and do exactly what they want to be doing. And yeah, you're helping a lot of people. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, and just being supportive. Like sometimes they just need a shoulder to cry on, and they're having a bad time with their wife, and a band guy just wants to text about it. It's like, well, now I have to turn off like work Jenny and befriend Jenny, and 6 years ago I didn't even know you, and I feel very fortunate that you have come to me with this problem, and we're friends, and so that also gives me value that these band guys might actually be my friend too. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely make a lot of really like incredible connections in this line of work too, because we all have that underlying love of music in common as well. So there's just kind of like, I don't know, I find that there's a different way of interacting with each other out of respect and love for what we do. So,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So too, to geek out, because I know probably people listening are like, so who do you work for? Who are the bands like that you're active with right now?
Oh, active with right now, I work for a band called Amon Amarth. They're a Viking metal band from Sweden, and they're great. And I do Trivium out of Orlando, Florida, and I do King Diamond and Mercyful Fate, which go hand in hand since King Diamond sings in both bands. I also do Behemoth in the U.S. and some South America, and then some Australia when they need it. But Behemoth are a Polish black metal band, so they also work with the UK office to be better on their time zone. And then underneath that, we've got Orbit Culture, Blood Incantation, and Unto Others. So
Literally, could you ask for a more immaculate roster, honestly? Yeah,
it's a lot of work, though.
I'm sure.
Amon Amarth are in arenas, Trivium are in arenas now. It's big stuff, big stuff. King Diamond, Merciful Fate headlining huge European festivals, just like Amon Amarth are. So yeah, it's a big workload. So
Yeah, I mean, I remember there was another interview you did where you were talking about Amon Amarth specifically because I mean, all of these bands have remarkable productions as well. So they're they're not just like showing up on stage. Like there's a lot of logistics in terms of their productions. Could you talk a little bit more too about like the value of like having unique live experiences and the most exciting ones right now for you?
the let's see. The live experience. I am a huge fan of pyrotechnics. Huge fan. Because
Yes.
even if you don't like the music, you can still go for the stage show and then see the pyrotechnic show, right? So if if you have a sister and they don't necessarily listen to metal, but they're into Dungeons and Dragons. Then you take them to an Amon Amarth show and they don't like the growling singing, but there's so much other things to look at and things are happening. And after every third song, a backdrop changes and an inflatable goes up. To me, this exciting stage show, and then the interaction with the audience. Amon Amarth asks you to sit on the floor and row. And then same with Trivium during In Waves, last song, they ask you to sit on the floor and then jump up. It's there's so much audience interaction. So it's like going to a rave. Maybe you don't like rave music, but you go because it's fun and there's lights and all the other things, you know? So there's so many other things that are happening besides the music now in these arena shows. And to me, that's the most exciting. And then also, I love pyrotechnics. So I love watching things blow up and fire and bangs. And
Yeah.
that's my jam. That's my fucking jam.
Who doesn't? And it's interesting how you're saying too, like you could win over new crowds just by having an incredible live show, despite the music or whatever it is. Like it is kind of an investment in that way of like you're gonna win over so many new, like if you're at a festival, you've got the pyro. People are like, who's that?
Right. They
So
don't know
it like in turn,
that fire. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and two, I want to end this kind of on a fun note because I know you are quite the traveler. You've traveled all over the world. I love seeing your posts of just all the incredible places you've been and things you've done. What has been the most life-changing destination for you? I'm honestly asking so I can take notes.
Life changing, probably Myanmar, which used to be called Burma. Myanmar had just opened up to independent foreign travel. The government actually let Chinese people travel there for a long time as tourists to see the beaches. And then it just opened up to foreign independent travel. And me and my two friends were supposed to go to Nepal, but the earthquake happened. So then we pivoted and went to this country that we didn't know anything about. So I bought the Lonely Planet book, and then we basically just showed up. And it has beautiful beaches, and it has Buddhism, and it's not hustle culture like if you go to Thailand or Cambodia, there's a lot of people asking you for money. Myanmar just didn't know anything about that. They just didn't get it. They were just so happy to see tourists. So when I was traveling there, that was the most life-changing for me. And like we went and saw the Mad Max movie in the movie theater, and people had like just gotten cell phones. So everybody was on their cell phone in the movie theater, and we didn't really understand it. So we just had to like keep asking around, like, we're supposed to be watching this movie. Why are you all on your cell phones? And they're like, oh, well, the government just let us have cell phones and MTV, and it was such a crazy time to be traveling there. So and then they are in and out of a coup situation, so it's not safe to travel there anymore. So life changing for me was Myanmar. They saw my bald white friend and they said, "Oh my God, a foreigner." And then they saw my blonde haired, long haired friend with a beard and they said, "Oh my God, look at that crazy blonde hair." And then they saw me and they were like, "Look at this crazy girl with tattoos. This is so crazy. We've never seen anything like this before." And we found like the one metal shop in Yangon and they had Bring Me the Horizon posters all over the shop. So
Wow.
they were just like, "Oh my God, you look like that guy. We've never seen a girl look like that guy." And I was going into markets and bazaars, and it was the same situation. They'd see the first one, the second one, and they see me. And I went home with jade bracelets. People would just walk up and give me water, and then they wanted a selfie with me. And it was never from a place of anger or get out of here. It was always from a place of like love and oh my God, you look so weird, and can we just get a picture with you? And it was so innocent, and we were so strange to them. And one of the ancient cities, there's an ancient city there called Bengon, where they do hot air balloons, and it's this beautiful temple type city. And some of the structures were also destroyed in an earthquake a few years later. So I feel really lucky that I was able to travel there and see the way that people lived in that culture. And then now you might not be able to go because of all the war and the economic situation. So for me, that was the most life-changing. You definitely see a different way people live. They have dirt floors and they have nothing, but they're so happy, and they have food from a garden and chickens out the back door, and it also makes you feel really lucky to be born an American because we have a lot of rights as women, and we're still working on them. But in a lot of the countries, women are still very much oppressed, and we are second-class citizens. And you're a baby factory. And by traveling all over the world, you just feel gratitude and appreciation for your situation. I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that is so poignant and something I've always valued so much about travel is the opportunity to see other ways of life and other perspectives because yeah, it does bring you back to earth a little bit in terms of what we have and the way we live and also it expands your mind and your perspective in so many beautiful ways. So, I mean, how incredible that you've been able to have these opportunities to travel the way you have, both touring and non-touring. So,
Yes. Yeah. So I saw the world with bands where bands go. And so now I'm trying to get to the little harder to reach places and people say, "Oh, how do you have the money to travel?" And it's like, dude, I'm not staying at the Ritz-Carlton. I'm in the hostel, I'm in the guest house, I'm in the yurt, so I'm not opposed to sleeping on the floor so that I can, make my money travel a little farther and you can do it too. So I just hope also by going all these places that can inspire you as well. Like book the flight, take the trip. Life's too short. So just get out there and see it. And if that's something you want to do and you want to go to the ancient city of Petra, like absolutely just go. Just go. So
yeah, I'm always the same mindset of like that is to me the most incredible investment is being able to travel and have these experiences that are truly invaluable. So I'm glad we had this talk to hopefully encourage more people to experience the world because there's nothing better in my opinion. But
I agree. And what a eye opener for you to also interact with different cultures and learn about them. And then it makes you less ignorant. And maybe you understand now why that Indian guy is acting the way he does, because in his culture that's normal. And then here that's not. So yeah, it's yeah, really gives you empathy as well as gratitude and appreciation, I think.
yeah, no, empathy is a great way to put it, and just understanding of so many different people. Do you feel like that curiosity for travel came from touring, or is that always something you had?
Always something I had. I think
Mm.
I saw touring as a way to exit my small town because these bands were traveling all over the world, and I was like, that's a way for me to get out of here. And then I did my first solo travel off of a Stick to Your Guns tour. I In 2010 I went to Egypt, and it was super eye-opening. And I was by myself, and I learned so much about myself and the culture and how it all works. And yeah, it engaged my brain in a way that nothing else did. So then that was it. I was addicted. I was addicted to solo travel. I was like gonna see it all, and yeah, that's when it started.
You are just amazing. I feel like I should have had you on the podcast so much sooner. Thank you so much for taking this time for me. I feel like if I didn't have boundaries, we'd be here another 2 hours, so I could keep picking your brain. But I hope that this has been valuable for anyone listening as well who wants to tour or even just be in this industry in any capacity because you are such a great example. So
Thank you
thank
so much.
you again for your time. Is there anything else you want to say before we go?
Oh, kill him with kindness. That was our mantra, right? Kill him
That
with
is the
kindness.
mantra. It will always be the mantra. So, yeah, kill them with kindness. And everybody watching, thank you for being here too and taking your time out of your day to listen to us. If you want more episodes, check out notfest.com every other week. She's with the band. Leave a comment, leave a review, say hi, and we'll catch you later. Bye, y'all.
Thank you so much.